1,500 horsepower. The Bugatti Chiron deconstructed. 2.4 million euros. That was the jaw-dropping starting price of the Bugatti Chiron when it first hit the scene. And remember, that's before a single option was checked, before taxes, before delivery. It immediately set the tone, right? If you wanted to experience the absolute pinnacle of hypercar engineering, well, this was the price of entry. Part 1. The ultimate Veyron successor. So how exactly do you build a successor to the legendary Veyron? Well, you start with the name. There's actually a fascinating dual meaning here. Officially, it's named after Louis Chiron, the legendary Monegasque racing driver who was winning countless Grand Prix for Bugatti back in the 1920s and 30s. But, as the Gentleman's Journal astutely pointed out, Chiron is also the name of an astronomical comet known for a completely unique and highly erratic orbit. The brilliant irony? Bugatti gave this car the ferocity of a literal meteorite, but their engineers worked tirelessly to engineer every single ounce of that erraticism completely out of the vehicle. They needed it to be as refined as it was terrifying. Part 2. Engineering the W16 Beast. Okay, let's talk power, because the numbers here are just insane. The original Veyron shattered paradigms with nearly 1,000 horsepower. Its ultimate iteration, the Super Sport, bumped that up to almost 1,200. But the base Chiron? A massive leap to 1,479 horsepower or 1,500 PS. That is a jump of nearly 500 horsepower from the original Veyron. Look, in the automotive world, finding an extra 50 horsepower is an absolute engineering triumph. Finding 500? That requires a complete mechanical rewrite. So, to get there, the Chiron carries over that massive 8.0-liter quad-turbocharged W16 engine layout, but it's heavily updated. We're talking a mind-bending 1,600 newton-meters of torque, and it's available all the way from 2,000 to 6,000 RPM. All of this absolute violence is routed through a 7-speed dual-clutch automatic transmission, sending power down to a heavy-duty all-wheel drive system. But here's the thing, power is absolutely useless if the chassis twists under pressure. To fix that, Bugatti gave the carbon fiber body a torsional stiffness of 50,000 newton-meters per degree. To put that into perspective for you, that's the exact same rigidity you'd find in a Le Mans prototype race car. It's basically a fortress on wheels. So what does all that mean when rubber actually meets the road? Well, it's like a jet fighter taking off. 0 to 100 kilometers per hour evaporates in 2.4 seconds. 200 kilometers per hour arrives in a blistering 6.5 seconds. And 300 kilometers per hour, a speed most supercars couldn't even dream of reaching, is dispatched in a casual 13.6 seconds. The physics at play here are staggering. The G-force literally pushes you back into the leather seats and just doesn't let up. Part 3. Breaking the speed barrier. Now, as you can imagine, the Chiron is a constant battle between aerodynamics, raw power, and rubber. Out of the factory, the electronically limited top speed is 261 miles per hour, or 420 kilometers per hour. Now, you might be wondering, why limit a 1,500 horsepower hypercar? The answer is safety. Bugatti realized that no street-legal tire manufactured at the time could actually survive the immense centrifugal stress of the car's absolute top speed. The hardware itself was fully capable of breaking the mythical 300-mile-per-hour barrier, if only they could find tires that wouldn't literally rip apart. But you know, Bugatti, they love a good record. In August 2017, racing legend Juan Pablo Montoya took a Chiron and ran from 0 to 400 kilometers per hour and then slammed back to a dead stop in just 41.96 seconds. That was at the Aerodynamic test track. But the real crown jewel? That came in August 2019. Bugatti test driver Andy Wallace took a specially modified prototype and shattered the 300-mile-per-hour barrier, hitting a certified 304.77 miles per hour. Truly history-making stuff. But here's the catch. Andy Wallace couldn't do it in just a standard Chiron. Heavy modifications were made in collaboration with Dallara and Michelin to create the Super Sport 300 Plus prototype to survive this run. They stretched the overall length of the car by nearly 10 inches just to stabilize the air at extreme velocity. They added a laser-controlled ride height system to perfectly manage drag. They totally ripped out the active electronic rear wing and replaced it with a fixed long tail. Oh, and they dropped in an upgraded engine nicknamed Thor, pushing the power up to an even more ridiculous 1,578 horsepower. Part 4. Exclusive variants and one-offs. Once that core Chiron formula was locked in, Bugatti started tweaking the engineering for different extremes. Take the Chiron Sport. It's 18 kilos lighter with a stiffer suspension, making it way sharper in the corners. Then you have the Pure Sport, which takes that agility to the absolute limit. They stripped out 50 kilos, added these radical aero blades to the wheels, and used a 15% closer gear ratio for monstrous acceleration out of corners. On the flip side, the Super Sport packaged those long-tail aerodynamic lessons from the 300-mile-per-hour run into a luxury grand tour. You essentially just chose your weapon based on whatever driving extreme you wanted to conquer. And then there's this. Behold Le Voiture Noire. Built as a tribute to the lost 1936 Bugatti Type 57 SC Atlantic, this thing is an absolute masterpiece of bespoke carbon fiber coach building. Just look at the elongated nose, that dorsal fin running the entire length of the car, and those beautifully absurd 6 exhaust pipes in the back. It sold for a staggering £9.5 million, making it one of the most expensive new cars ever built. It really goes to show that at Bugatti, if your pockets are deep enough, the limits of customization literally don't exist. Part 5. The End of an Era. From day one, Bugatti promised a strict production cap of exactly 500 units for the Chiron, just to ensure it remained ultra-exclusive. Over the car's 8-year run, that broke down to roughly 210 base models, 80 Super Sports, 60 Pure Sports, 60 Sports, and 91 limited editions and bespoke one-offs. But if you're doing the math right now, you might notice that total actually equals 501. So where did that extra unit come from? Well, it's a fascinating piece of Bugatti lore, the Chiron Profile. Originally, Bugatti wanted the Profile to be a full production variant, kind of like a slightly less radical version of the Pure Sport with this bespoke hollow rear wing. But those 500 allocated build slots filled up so fast that the whole project had to be canceled. Because they had already built a single street-legal pre-series prototype, they decided to just auction it off. And in early 2023, it sold for nearly 9.8 million euros. It was a beautiful accident that resulted in a true one-of-one hypercar. Finally, in May 2024, the absolute last Chiron, appropriately named L'Ultime, rolled out of the Molsheim factory. Finished in this gorgeous fading blue paint scheme covered in handwritten notes of the car's historic achievements, it didn't just mark the end of the Chiron, it officially retired the iconic 8.0-liter W16 engine, a literal mechanical marvel that defined the hypercar landscape for nearly 2 decades. So, I'm going to leave you with this question to debate down in the comments. With the legendary W16 engine officially retired and electrification rapidly taking over the automotive industry, how will the next generation of hypercars redefine the absolute pinnacle of speed? I mean, can anything ever truly replicate the mechanical violence of the Chiron? Drop your thoughts below, hit that like button if you learned something new today, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.